Hey everybody, it's Charles, your hobby hero, fresh off the release weekend of Disney's Lorcana TCG. Had a jam-packed weekend I'm going to share with you guys. But before we get started, I want to ask you guys to please subscribe if you haven't already. I do appreciate it, and I do put out regular content about the hobbies that I love the most, with this channel being dedicated to the card games that I play. Now, we had an absolute plethora of events, so many so that I did not actually get to attend all of them, but I want to kind of let you know the kind of scope of what that I did get to experience, kind of what I saw from the community here locally, and what I would like to see going forward into our next weekend of events and starting league play just around the corner. So the first place I started out with was actually at a local comic shop called Empire Comics and Games here in New Albany, Indiana. Now, this is a longtime friend of mine who owns this comic shop. He actually was not able to get enough product in time to actually schedule and host an official tournament, but I did get there early in the day. I did host a learn to play for the people that were coming in and buying the product that he did have. I got to play a few games, teach a few people how to play, including the owner himself, who had not actually got to hold any of the physical cards yet. And needless to say, it was love at first play for a lot of these players, a lot of excitement in the community, a lot of people coming from other card games, or they're either just generally curious about the excitement surrounding this card game, or just Disney lovers themselves, including the owner of this card shop. He is a big Disney fanatic, as am I. We've been talking about this card game for months and months, so excited that he finally got to play it. He is looking to actually start hosting some events going forward due to his limited supply he's got available. He's actually just holding like community days, which are free entry. You can come out, play, no pressure on a competitive atmosphere, just learning the game, learning the community that's around it. He's going to be handing out promos and different things just to kind of support the community and get people to know each other, which I think is fantastic, especially given that the product is as limited as it is on the sealed side. He was selling product the day of release, very, very close to MSRP, so it was a great bargain for those that were in there, and almost all the product was sold by the time that I left the Learn to Play event, which is not surprising considering the excitement around the game and the great pricing that he had on those products. So Friday evening, we had our first family organized tournament scheduled at Hollywood Video and Games in Jeffersonville, Indiana. They actually have a sister store in Clarksville, Indiana that was hosting an event the next night. So we had to pre-register. We got into the event. The event was $30. It came with a starter deck. It came with one additional pack for entry. And then you are able to buy packs and sleeves, portfolios, some play mats, and all that stuff at MSRP with entry. Now, they were only selling product to people who had purchased tickets to the event, so you couldn't just walk in, buy any product, and leave. They wanted to make sure that they were supporting community players, and this was the best way they knew to do it. Things at MSRP for people they knew were going to sit and play there. Now, they actually threw in a ton of goodies as well. They had drawings for Disney merchandise. They had drawings for additional product that you could purchase. They had sandwiches from Penn Station, bottled water for people to drink. The facility was very accommodating, and the family who runs the business was extremely inviting, very, very much wanting a community to develop for this game. Again, something that I've seen a lot of the stores that I really enjoyed my experience from were the store owners themselves were big Disney fans. They wanted this game to survive because they enjoy the IP so much that they just want it to be happening at their place of business, which I think is amazing. This particular store's event, however, did not get to fire. They had some problems with the tournament software, so while it was set up to be a tournament with some prizing associated with it, it ended up just being a free-to-play event, which was nice. Me, my wife, and my daughter got to play with different individuals. We actually played our very first family multiplayer game with another couple that we met there as well. So it was a very nice atmosphere. We stayed several hours and just played and had fun with the cards. My daughter got to open her packs, and she actually got the Enchanted Rare Maui, and she was basically a rock star for the rest of the night. She won one of the door prizes as well and just had a ton of fun. It was a very memorable first kind of tournament experience for her. So Saturday, we actually had another tournament scheduled at Busbys Cards in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Again, this is another card shop that I play some of the other card games, such as One Piece at. I know he hosts tournaments for a variety of other card games as well. Now, there was a slight miscommunication or a slight underestimation of how many people were going to be at this tournament. I was under the impression that I already had my spots secured, and I think he was kind of working under the assumption that he didn't think that the event was going to sell out at all. But we got there about half hour before the tournament started, and they were completely full. Now, we were a little nervous at that point in time. We'd already gotten a babysitter. This was our plans for our Saturday night. Fortunately for us, there were a number of people that were there that were just there to get product through entry in the tournament, and they didn't actually want to stay and play in the tournament, which actually freed up enough spots for myself, my wife, my daughter, and my brother, who now is obsessed with the card game as well, to all play in the tournament. The tournament was 5 rounds of single elimination. The starter decks, you could use the pack that was in the starter deck, but you could not use colors outside of the colors that your deck was in. So I took the Sapphire and Steel deck and was able to use Sapphire and Steel cards out of the booster pack to swap some cards out. I think I ended up with about 4 cards that were just inkable, decent cards to bring into the deck. Nothing crazy. Just stuff to get uninkable count down for the deck. I ended up going 4-1 with a top 5 finish. So my brother actually finished 4-1 and finished second for the tournament. My wife actually finished 4-1 as well and actually finished third. That's right, my wife beat me in the rankings for this particular tournament. But probably most surprising of all was my 8-year-old daughter. She actually went 2-3 and finished 17th out of 32 for this tournament. And she was absolutely elated that she was able to win some of the games that she won at this tournament, especially being the only minor there at the tournament. Again, there were plenty of young individuals there, plenty of new people to card games that were there. She just happened to be the youngest for this event, and I was very proud that she was able to win 2 completely on her own wins for that particular tournament. So great all-the-way family showing. Great first tournament experience. His pricing there was pretty fair. Booster packs, depending on the product that it was in, were anywhere from like $8 to $10 a pack. Most of his product, except for I think the gift boxes, were sold out by the end of the tournament, which is not surprising again for those people who are staying away from market prices. We're seeing their product sell very quickly. I do want to see what he ends up with going forward. I know his shop generally caters to a more competitive group of people, so I'm curious to see if that's kind of where like the competitive Lorcana players kind of gravitate towards here locally. All right, and then to round out the weekend on Sunday, I actually played it in another starter deck challenge at Draw 2 Cards in Louisville, Kentucky, just across the river from where we live at. And this one was $25 for entry. You got a starter deck, and you could add the pack similarly to the starter deck challenge the night before. There was not rainbow rules, so you could only use the cards that matched up with your Sapphire and Steel, which is what I took again. And out of this pack, I think I only got like 2 playable cards out of the whole thing. I think it was the 2-drop Prince Eric and the 4-drop Aurora. So it was really just inkable, somewhat playable cards to kind of substitute out like the 1-jump aheads. I think were the only 2 cards I could afford to take out. The deck did well again, though. I was the only undefeated after 3 rounds. There was a 4th round in the last round, and I did drop that match. It did not end up affecting the overall results, as I did still finish first for it and won another 4 packs. In addition to those 4 packs, I also got a pack of Mickey sleeves and a Mickey deck box. So it was a nice little prize, especially for basically only a $5 entry-free tournament. Interestingly enough, the starter deck that I got out of that one as well was miscut, so that was kind of neat as well. The entire deck was shifted all over to the side with some pieces of white, cardstock showing on some of the cards, which is pretty neat to play around with for the tournament as well, especially when you play the same deck for a lot of these tournaments. It's kind of nice just to get something different in that regard by having the miscuts there. Now, his prices were pretty close to market price, and he did have a fair amount of product still sitting on the shelves. Now, we had a lot of stores locally that were selling under market, so now that those have exhausted their supply, they could be moving up to the higher, closer to market price ones. I also kind of got the sense that he wasn't really in a hurry to sell them, as he wanted to make sure that he had plenty of prize support if he's wanting to host more competitive tournaments. With that prize structure is going to be really important for drawing the competitive players into those environments. So I know that sounds like a ton of stuff happening for the release weekend. Truth be told, there were a number of events I could not even make it to, at least 4 that I knew of that just conflicted with other events that I was already in, that sold out, that filled up, that were able to take some as big as 50-person tournaments and fill those seats up, which is just absolutely crazy. It just shows you how excited this local community is for these events. I'm hoping that the shops are able and willing to take care of the community that has shown up for these games. Sure, we're going to lose some people. Some people are here just for the product hype. They're just here, to kind of cash in on the early days of TCG, like you're going to see with any game out there. But there are a number of new people and new faces that I've never seen for any other card game that are showing out for these card games, and I'm super excited for that community growth. And I'm hoping that they can all find a home that fits their play style in the stores that we have here locally. Now, after such a huge weekend, it is kind of tough to figure out what we want to see going forward. I think most people have gotten their fill of the starter deck challenges. I know I have. I know between my family, we've participated in a large number of the starter deck challenges going all the way back to Gen Con. Now, while I do like the format, I would love the opportunity to play in something different. I'd like to see either a sealed deck format or a draft format pop up at one of these stores that still has product to support it. I do have one of my local comic shops that I go to regularly that got their product late, so they weren't able to host any events on the release weekend. So I'm looking forward to the announcement that they have for their tournament coming up to see what they're doing. And honestly, I want these stores to be able to feel free to host non-tournament events, these free-to-play events where people can just come and not worry about winning or losing. There are a lot of children, there are a lot of non-competitive adults that have been drawn to this game due to the IP, and I don't want those people to think that if they're not winning or they're not competing or they're not playing the best decks in the meta, that there isn't a home for them here locally to play. I think the league play is a nice way to get individuals brought in. The fact that it's not tournament structured by nature and that attendance and just playing is rewarded, I think will go a long way for bringing in a lot of new casual players and holding on to those casual players, as the second set is really just around the corner, dropping in November. I think we've got to hold on to what we have, and I'm really hoping that a lot of these shops that had good turnouts see the potential of the community in this scenario and really do what they can to build that community, to foster goodwill in those communities. And that's really what I'm looking for, because honestly right now there's a ton of places I could play at. I really am looking for the shops that are focused on making sure that it's an environment that I as a competitive player can enjoy, and I as a father of an 8-year-old girl who enjoys playing it can enjoy as well. I don't need my daughter to come into an event, and be, seeing people toss tables because they had bad draws. And for me personally, I don't actually want to be going to events where there is no sense of competition at all, because I enjoy that aspect of the games that I play. So looking to see where those strengths and weaknesses are going to be, and luckily for me, there are plenty of stores nearby to really kind of take form and shape out that community. But I would love to hear what you guys think about your release weekend. Let me know what kind of experiences that you guys had and what you're most excited to see in the next coming weeks. Until next time though, guys, Hobby Hero out.